Hello everyone and welcome to this video by Go North Education where we discuss the Duolingo English language test, and in this video we will be looking at the read and complete question. As can be seen here, we have 13 different types of questions in this test. We will be looking at the first one, read and complete, and then we will be looking at the rest of these questions in separate videos. So one major source that I use in these videos is the technical manual. So this is an official Duolingo document where they discuss some information about the test. So these actually serve as a good reference for those that have questions about the test, about the nature of each question, and about the marking and things like this. So what does this reference say about the read and complete question? So it says that the first and last sentences of a text are fully intact, while alternating words in the intervening sentences are damaged by deleting the second half of the word. So what does this mean? It means that typically every other word in the next sentences, so the first and the last sentence are typically intact, meaning they're not missing any words, they're full. But in the next sentences, so the ones in between the first and the last, every other word will be missing its second half. So let's say if the word is, let's say, from 6 letters, the last three will be missing. So how do we solve this question? Let's look at the second highlighted portion. It says that test takers need to rely on context and discourse information to reconstruct the damaged words. So you have to look at the context. This is why it's very important to read the whole passage first before you try to answer any question. It is better if you actually read the entire text, the entire passage, to know more about the context. And when you do this, a lot of missing words will actually reveal themselves. Okay, so keep these things in mind. First and last sentences are intact. The alternating words in the next sentences have their second half missing. And the most important thing, rely on context and discourse information to reconstruct the damaged word. Another source that I use is the official guide for test takers for the Duolingo English test. So this is another official document from Duolingo that I urge you to go through if you want to know more about the test. So what does this document say about this question? So one very important thing, and I keep getting asked this question, is whether we should use British or American spelling. To be on the safe side, I would say always use American spelling. I know some of you might actually go to British universities, but for this test, because let's remember IELTS is mostly a British and Australian test, while Duolingo is an American test. The other thing is, the reality is American English is the most common and the most widely used English. So you're better off in your career to focus on American English. Okay, what other tips? Like we said, read the whole passage before focusing on each word. Use context, very important. Okay, try to determine what is the passage about. What is it talking about? And another tip, this is just more of a logistics. If you want to delete something, just use backspace. Okay, so again, the first and last sentences are fully intact. So this way you can actually determine what the context of this passage is. Every other word has its second half missing. Okay, keep this in mind. Okay. Let's look at this passage. You have 2 minutes to read this passage and to fill in the missing words. Okay, remember what we said in the previous um, minutes about how to solve this kind of question. If you finished early, you can skip ahead to the answers and to the discussion. Okay, let's take a look at the answer. So like we said, the first and the last sentence, okay, are typically intact. They're typically full. And they will be very important to actually know what the context is. So let's read the first and the last sentence. Artificial intelligence, AI, is expected to significantly change the nature of work and the job market in the coming years. Okay, then we skip to the last sentence. At the same time, it's important for society to ensure that the benefits of AI are shared fairly and that policies are put in place to support those who may be affected by job disruption. So let's focus on the first and the last sentence. Okay, we're talking about AI and how it's going to affect the job market and how it's very important for individuals to actually make sure that they're ready for this change and also for society to ensure that nobody is left behind. So keep the context in mind. Let's look at the first word. Okay, so jobs. Okay, so we only had the J and the O. It was a damaged word. The second half was missing. But then let's look at the first and in the last sentence. In both cases, we have the word job. Okay, so we should immediately know that this missing word is job. But because we have some, we cannot say some job. It has to be some, we can't say some job. It has to be some jobs, plural. So keep this in mind. Sometimes you may find the right word, but then you might notice that the number of letters doesn't match. Maybe it's in plural. Keep that in mind. Okay, while others will be created. Created, when we're talking about jobs, we typically talk about creating jobs, losing jobs, things like this. Okay? And then for individuals to continually upskill and adapt. This might be actually the most difficult ones. But if we're talking about jobs, we typically talk about skilling, reskilling, upskilling. So the word skill will typically come when we're talking about job market. And then when we look at adapt, let's look at what comes after adapt to these changes. So anytime we have changes, it's a common expression in English to say adapt to changes. Okay, so if you don't know what the word is, skip and look at the next words. Okay, that's why we say context. Context is very important. And then to stay competitive in the job market. Okay, um, some people might think stay competition. No, stay competitive. It has to be an adjective. Okay, and then we're talking about job. We're talking about the job market. Look at the first sentence in the second line. We have and the job market. We have the same thing. So market was missing two letters. So use these tricks to actually make sure that you get this question correct. Look at the first and the last sentences, establish what the context is, and then work accordingly. Okay, thank you so much for listening. Subscribe to our channel so that you get all the videos right away, and good luck to everyone.